In this episode, I'm talking about how small businesses can win in government contracting using advocacy groups, being a member, being a part of events. So go ahead, push play, grab your pen and paper, and I'll catch you on the inside. Welcome back, Bold Move Besties, to another episode of She Built Success. I am your host, Claudia. Now, before we get into it, if you are here on YouTube, go ahead and click the subscribe link. There's like 86% of y'all that come back, but then don't subscribe. So please hit the subscribe button. And if you're on your audio podcast platform of choice, go ahead, leave a review, and you too can hit the subscribe button. All right, let's get into it. So today we are talking about advocacy groups for small businesses who are in or interested in getting into government contracting. Now, I have my lovely Windows machine, and because I took some serious notes on this, because I really wanted to give you all, I'll tell you some organizations that I'm a part of, but also give you resources of other organizations who are all about supporting small businesses who are in government contracting. So we're going to get right on into it. So the first one is the SBA, and that is the Small Business Administration. Now, the SBA recently launched, it's relative within the past 365 days. How about that? Recently launched or relaunched their certified SBA program. And what it is when you're going to get certification, so think women owned, think HubZone, think 8A, veteran owned, the SBA provides you a means to be able to go through them. It's a whole portal. It's certify.sba.gov, a whole portal that allows you to go ahead and process through your specific certifications that you are interested in. Now, I'll caveat to say, maybe I should back up a little bit, what a certification is. So certifications aren't mandatory in government work. You can win contracts without them. You can win contracts with them. Certifications are just designations of your socioeconomic category, usually. So for instance, I said women owned. In the federal space or in the government space, it's known as women owned small business, or WOSB. There is HubZone. So those are typically more disadvantaged areas where your company is headquartered. I will also put a little asterisk there for HubZone and say zones, the actual zones that you would identify, like if your business is HubZone or not, they do change and can change and shift. Sometimes to your advantage, where if your area was previously not, and it might now qualify, and the reverse, which the reverse is usually more often than not true, where it is a hub zone, but then it no longer is considered a hub zone. So I would say choose wisely if you want to go after a hub zone certification, or when you're establishing your company or maybe moving your company into a hub zone. Just keep in mind when you take a look at their website, and I'll put the link for the hub zone website in the description, but you can put in the address of your workplace, of your headquarters, and that'll determine whether or not it actually is a hub zone and can qualify for a hub zone certification. So I mentioned WOSB, I mentioned hub zone. 8A is another program. I'll get a little bit more into that, but that is a specific program for small businesses. There's some criteria for you to get into it. I won't dig really deep into the 8A program. Maybe we'll do that on another episode. But it is another program that has a time parameter around it. I believe it's 9 years, where you as a small business are in this program and you can win contracts that are set aside for 8As. Let's see, did I miss it? Oh, service disabled veterans. So the service disabled veteran owned small business, SDVOSB, is also another certification designation that the SBA allows you to go after. All of the certifications that I talked about, if you go the certified.sba.gov route, it's free. The alternative is if you wanted to, for instance, get your women-owned certification. So my organization, my company, we have our women-owned. We have both the commercial equivalent as well as the federal equivalent, and we went through WeBank. There are select third-party vendors that the SBA gave the thumbs up to provide certifications. Now, if you go with a third-party company to do that, there is a fee associated with it. So I just want to put out there, like, if that's what you want to do, that's fine. You pick, but you have an option. You can go SBA, which typically the certification timeline is a little bit longer, or you can go paid with for instance, WeBank, and that will allow you to also get certified, but you're paying for the women-owned certification or designation. Okay, so the SBA, I talked about HubZone, WOSB, Service Disabled, and 88. That's all under SBA. Now, one of the things that SBA has as a tool that is actually really it's advantageous, especially if you're just starting out in government contracting or interested and you're like, I don't know anything aside from listening to me, of course, because I can totally be a resource. But SBA has what's known as, it used to be called PTAX. It's now known as APEX. And it is a program designated for small businesses to help learn about government contracting. They have different like webinars and events that you can attend. But then they also help you to a degree look at your, like if you have a proposal that you're responding to and you're not quite sure on a particular section, some apex accelerators have workshops where they can talk about things like that and you can get the clarity that you need to be able to respond. Now, they're not there to write stuff for you, they're not there to respond for you. That's the legwork that you would have to do, but they are a version of a learning center, if you will, if you're getting into government contracting. And even if you're experienced in government contracting, every now and again you'll get a webinar or an event or a seminar that allows you to grow in the space. Because if you're not continually learning, I mean, I still learn. How I got notes, a whole thing of notes here talking to you, because I don't know everything. And I encourage you just to seek it out and understand, like, is this a good fit? Is this something that I can take advantage of? So SBA, that is the first organization that I am recommending that advocate for small businesses. And I've talked about the certifications. Now, the next one is WIP, and this is Women Impacting Policy. I actually recently just became a member, and I'm gonna tell you why. They have these events. I was watching them all the year prior. They have these events called Challenge Her. I don't think I've seen any yet at the time of this recording, but they have these events called Challenge Her, and they'll bring in different officials in the program office. They'll bring in people within the industry, so other small businesses, large primes. I mean, all kinds of. They have different panels, and they move from across the US. It's not even like it's just in the DC, Maryland, Virginia area. No, it's like I've seen them in Kansas. I've seen them in, I want to say Georgia was another one. So this was all the year prior. I've seen them move. Like I believe Las Vegas or the Nevada area was another, maybe Arizona, and then I think like Ohio-ish type space. It was a little, I'll say north, but that's not north. I know my geography. That's not north, but yeah, no, they hold. That's one of the events for me that stood out because it really looked like, and I was the sucky part for me was I was not able to attend these events. I really wanted to, but it just didn't work out in my schedule to be able to attend. This year, I definitely want to, make it happen to at least attend one, if not two. But all that to say, the Challenge Her events are very informative. I know sometimes, especially if you're used to going to like networking or conference type events, it's like you get lost in the shuffle of things. There's no real action. It's like a bunch of like rah, you could do this. And then you get home, you're like, oh, what do I do? No, it's very actionable. Even in not attending, I follow other folks and have had conversations with other people who've been in the room or have been a part of the panel or a speaker, and the amount of insight and the depth of what they're sharing. And it's not just a surface level, okay, this is how I did it. No, it's like, this is how I did it. This is why I did it. If it's an agency, I've known agency attendees in the government space to come in and say, this is our forecast and this is what we're looking for women owned and this is what we need. And if you're able to step in and fill that, like they're actually giving you real insights into not only their requirements and the path that they're taking or what they're looking to or source out, but they're also listening to what you're saying. So is the small business office engaging? Are they engaging other small businesses? Are they putting on events? Like it's a whole, now they have WIP has other events and things throughout. If you're a member, they have a lot of really, really good webinars those I have actually attended a number of them last year and this year. And it just, the organization is very proactive, is very informative, especially if you're a woman-owned business. Let me see what else I want to say. Oh, they do talk about policies. So, from administration to administration, executive orders come out, memorandums come out. They help break that down. As a member, that's some of what I have access to as well. I'm not saying you need to be a member of these groups. Again, I'm just trying to get you to understand that there are small business advocacy groups, in addition to what we already know with the the OSDBU office of Small Business disadvantage and utilization ASDABU, which are basically where the small business specialists are already on behalf of, agency. Each agency has it, including in the Department of Defense space, so in DoD. So WIP is another one. I mentioned WeBank, so it is the Women's Business Enterprise Council, and they are the ones that I have my certification through. That's like the big umbrella, and then there's regional offices that roll up to this big umbrella, but they do help with certification. They too have a number of events, no matter where you are in your government journey, they have a number of events that you can attend that will help inform. I would say pick and choose, just in general, when you're looking at events or webinars or in-person things, like pick and choose ones that align with the goals and the strategy that you've set forth for your business. Otherwise, you're kind of just wasting time. We don't want to do that. We want you to maximize your time. So I mentioned WeBank. Another one, so National Minority Supplier Development Council, that is NMSDC. That is, I feel like I'm saying my alphabet whenever I say them. But I too am a member of that. With that, we have our Minority Business Enterprise, our MBE certification. They too so that's the parent organization. But then just like WeBank, the NMSDC also has regional groups based on your geography. And your regional groups are the ones who actually, well, at least I'll speak for me. I can't speak for all the regions, but the regional groups are the ones we'll talk about policies, we'll break down things. They have different committee meetings. You can be a part of committees, join a board within the NMSDC, and they too make sure that you're understanding what's going on. They, speak to Congress, they speak to the folks on the Hill to say, these are the things that we're seeing, or have like roundtable type discussions. So they too also have events. Again, pick wisely, pick with your goals and your strategy. They also have a conference. I didn't mention that about WeBank. I did, but WeBank, NMSDC, they have conferences as well, annual conferences that you could attend if that's something that's in alignment with where you're trying to go. Okay, the last one is the Minority Business Development Agency, and that is for grants. It's for minority-owned businesses. They help with access to capital. So when you are, coming up on a potential contract, you need to have the funding in place. And I do want to do an episode on that, just talking about access to capital and working capital and what that looks like in the government space. But you need to have the money in your account. You can't just think you can go. This is specifically for larger contracts that you need to be able to support, and they want to make sure that they, being the procurement office, wants to make sure that you are actually able to hold up your end of the bargain and run your payroll and pay your folks properly. So there's net terms when you're doing these contracts, when you're signing them, when you get awarded them, and so they want to make sure that you have that working capital behind you to be able to support that contract. So let me see. What else did I want to mention? Oh, so I would say pick what aligns with what your goals are in terms of those groups. I would say I'll have a whole, if you go to shebuiltsuccess.com/resources, you'll be able to see all of this stuff in black and white or on your computer screen or whatever digital device you have, to be able to say, okay, is this something that I'm interested in? Because I feel like, as small businesses, it's a challenge in the government space. I'm not going to sugarcoat it. It can be challenging. It can be difficult to get the ears of those in the program offices or within the departments. It can be difficult to garner these capabilities briefings and get that true feedback of how you can meet those requirements or help to propel that agency's initiatives forward. And so having these groups and having the conversations with these groups, or attending the events, or letting your voice be heard as a small business, puts you in a position to better align with the contracts and win, and have a strategy that is about winning. And the part that I think that these groups come into play is helping to break down the nuances and the changes that are happening, not only in policy, but in the small business community. Because we as small businesses, and a lot of these conferences, we run into each other time and time again. And that's not a bad thing. That's actually a good thing. It helps to build that community. I mean, I've met a number of individuals. Now, I'm in the DMV. I'm in DC. Well, my company's in DC. I'm in Maryland, but I'm in the DMV. We say DMV. And I know a number of subcontractors, contractors, small businesses who have contracts with the government, and we've met because we went at a networking event or we did something social together. And it's cool because the group, I wouldn't have met them otherwise. Well, I can't say that for sure, but I met them at the event. And so because I was a part of the group, that's how I'm able to kind of keep the friendship or keep the business relationship or just keep nurturing. And when opportunities arise that may either share our skill set or we can, hey, I just saw this opportunity, not sure if you're looking for it, but I thought of you, here you go. And that's just another, I guess, indirect way that these organizations are bringing together small businesses. Now, these organizations also do have partnerships with the private sector. So that's your big corporate companies and whatnot, which is pretty sweet as well, because they bring in their panelists and there's different discussions that happen. So for instance, MBE is not just a federal certification. You can also use it in the private sector or commercial sector. Same thing with the women-owned. Well, let me be careful on that one. Women-owned WOSB is different than WBE. So WOSB is what is for the government contracting space, whereas WBE is for the commercial space. And you can get, there's, corporations that want to work with more women-owned businesses. And so you have the WBE certification that designates you as such. And so you go after it, right? The other thing I want to say is there was a time where you could self-certify as a woman-owned business. That's gone. They don't, the government does not allow that anymore. You do have to go either through the first channel I talked about with SBA or through a third-party vendor to get your certification now. That is a requirement. That was a change in 2023, if I'm not mistaken, that change came about primarily because there was a lot of fraudulent claims of being a woman-owned business. And by women-owned, that means it is operated and run by a female, 51% or more. So keep that in mind. So a couple things I want to encourage you to do, and this is your homework, Bomu Besties. I want you to look over this list or run this episode back and jot down a couple of these organizations and look at them to see if they're in alignment with what you're trying to attain for your strategy in business for government contracts. Then the second thing I'm going to ask you to do is to go ahead and hit the subscribe button. I mean, you've listened to me for this long. You might as well subscribe, right? If you found this useful, share it with a friend. I genuinely mean that. I hope that this sheds some light on some of the organizations that are advocating for small businesses. And I hope that I get to see you at one of these events. Why not? All right. Until next time, Bomu Besties, I'll catch you on the next episode of She Built Success. Are you a small business owner, consultant, or service provider ready to break into government contracting, but not quite sure where to start or who you can trust? Let's change that. The Ready Swipe Gov Accelerator is our 12-week group coaching program that has a one-on-one guided experience feel. Inside, you'll learn how to position your business, package your services, and create your credit card swipeable offer that makes it easier for government buyers to say yes. Plus, you'll have the strategies and tools to be able to navigate the process with confidence. Now, spots are limited, so go ahead and apply at readyswipegov.com, and we can get started to that little step forward in government contracting.